is our journey. This is how we got from this point we started out here, talking about us as 11, 12, 13-year-old kids with a dream, to this coming to life and us owning a store.
Still pursuing that same dream.
Still pursuing that same dream, not letting up. But what's up, guys? It's James from Bullseye.
I'm Carson.
We have something for you guys today. We are deciding to restart the YouTube. We are coming with a different direction. This time we're going to be going back into our story, our journey of how we opened the store and how we got to this point, and really diving into everything that happened before now. So we weren't really happy with the way the YouTube was going. We didn't like the direction we were taking it. So we decided we're going to restart. We're going to start with a clean slate and push forward the way we want to push forward. Getting back to like the basics, getting back to like what started us with sneakers. For me, it was the love of sneakers. I just wanted to collect. I just wanted some sneakers for myself, and I wasn't able to get them at the time. I wasn't able to buy the Bread 4s. You want to hand me those Bread 4s over there? It's funny, now we got them in the shop, but this was a shoe I really wanted, and I know Carson's a big fan of these too. But this was a shoe I really wanted, and it was like 160, 180 bucks, something like that. And it wasn't gonna happen, so I wanted to figure out how I could get it on my own. And it started with like 60 or 80 bucks, and buying something, flipping it on eBay. And I was really just like growing my collection in my room. I had like shoes just like lined up on my floor and like just sitting around, boxes laying around and stuff. I was posting stuff up on eBay all the time. Just like starting to really get into it. Maybe went to a couple events, like Soul Exchange, Street Heat, all like the Jersey sneaker events, and maybe a couple Philly events too. But really like started off small and mostly on eBay. And it took a while to like really get going with it. But I was just buying and selling online and going to a couple little events, like learning, a lot of times I got scammed, a lot of times, I mean, I can think back to specific stories. Like, I remember I had bought fake sneakers one time. I went to a sneaker con where I bought some fake sneakers, and I found out after I bought them, I couldn't find the person who I bought them from, and so I was out the money. And yeah, I mean, starting off small, man, just buying stuff for the low and trying to sell it for a little bit higher, even buying stuff in the same place and selling it in the same place for a little bit higher. I realized that really wasn't the move after a while, but small steps, and that's really where it started.
Yeah, I would say he definitely started off reselling before I did. I was definitely more into collecting the first year or two that I got into sneakers. It actually started off with, I was in 5th grade. I didn't make the basketball team, and I was bummed out, whatever. My best friend at the time, Grant, who actually works here, you guys, if you've watched the YouTube before, you probably already know him. He was going to this tournament in Philly, King of Prussia. He asked me to come with, support him, watch the team. We went out. We ended up going to King of Prussia afterwards, and we were at House of Hoops. I was like a size 6 back then. Ended up copping LeBron 10 Jades and like a KD 5 orange pair. I know I said that in the last one too, but that was my first pairs, and then I ended up wearing the out of them actually. And I actually sold the LeBrons for more than I paid for them, even after I wore them, and I was like, whoa. And this was probably like 6 months later after I actually like was wearing them, and then I got that idea in my head. I was like, okay, I can actually make money doing what I like at the same time, because beforehand I was just like mowing people's lawns, selling golf balls that I'd find at the golf course, any hustle I could do just to get new shoes. But instead I was like, oh, I can make money to buy new shoes with the shoes. So that's what got me into reselling. I started going to Soul Exchanges in Philly, and I actually, one of my first things that I did was take pictures. I was on foot taking pictures, gained a lot of followers, ended up with like closer to 10,000, got sponsored by Strideline and Sneaker Shield, shout out to them. Sent me a bunch of free just to post it and get pictures with their stuff. But that's how I started out, just taking pictures, going to Soul Exchange like that. And like I said, I was more of like a collector really before I became like a reseller or wanted to make money off of it. That's where the difference between us when we first started, I would say.
Yeah, and I would say like now Carson kind of reminded me going back to like the first sneaker he bought. The first like Nike basketball sneaker I bought was a KD5 Texas. Was like the silver orange John with the swoosh. I wore a lot of weird stuff with that. I remember I was in like 6th grade. I ended up popping the air bubble on that, and
was it 5 or was it a
KD5? KD5. It was 6th grade. I remember like a whole bunch of people had KD5s, like they were the and then there was KD6s the next year too. But the KD5, I was probably like 12, I guess I was 13 years old, maybe 12, 13 years old. And I bought that shoe eventually after I had like sold another one. And I was just buying and selling to be able to get what I wanted. So I was just buying to be able to get more of what I wanted. And I was talking about that bread for, but I never got that bread for until way later on. But it was definitely like in the back of my head. But with that KD5, I popped the air bubble in it. And then I sold it for more than what I paid for it, even with the popped air bubble. And I was like, why did that happen?
Poor guy.
Yeah, well, I don't know why he bought. I guess he couldn't buy it because he went on Nike and they were sold out, and he really wanted the shoe. So I ended up selling it for more than what I paid for it. And I realized like, hey, I could probably keep doing this and maybe getting more sneakers that I want. So yeah, that was kind of, you reminded me with the Cutting Jade. That was like the first sneaker that I bought, and like I put on my feet, and it was like, you know, you get that feeling like when you put a sneaker on like that.
You're accomplished.
Yeah, you feel like accomplished, and it's like,
especially when you pay with your own money.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you walk out the house like you feel dope. Like that's just some shit. Like that's just what this sneaker stuff is. But yeah, so I remember that was like the first one. And then I did start going to these events. I remember the first event I went to, I was probably like maybe 13 years old, either 12 or 13 years old. I think 12. I went to an event in Long Island. My mom drove me way up there. Shout out my parents for really supporting my hustle even when I was younger.
Mom and dad, shout out you guys.
Because if I didn't have their support to do what I was doing, I wouldn't have been able to, you know? Like, I was spending my own money, but like having a parent say to your 12-year-old kid, hey, yeah, you're allowed to go spend a couple $100s on sneakers, like, that's not normal, you know? So that support was really appreciated, and that's kind of how we were able to get to this point, because we were allowed to do that as young kids. We were allowed to express ourselves and be creative.
And like he said, don't get it misconfused. Don't switch it up. We used our own money. Their support is what got us here. We did not ask them for anything, but their love and support, 100%. And that is what helped us get to this point. And like he said before, shout out you guys. We would not be here without you guys.
100%. But yeah, so I mean, going back to that, it's like I was 12 years old at this sneaker event in Long Island. I remember I went with like a little bit of cash and maybe one pair of sneakers. I remember I left and I got taken. Like I had bought some LeBron 7, some like weird sample pair, a Christian Louboutin. I got played. Like I left with way less than what I came with, and like I kind of felt good, but then I realized later like, what do I have? Why can't I sell this? Like learning experience for sure. Bricks is what they would call it. Sneakers that don't move. But so getting farther into the story here and how this progressed is, so basically started going to more events, right? Started going to a couple more events, buying sneakers.
My first one was Soul Exchange Philly.
Soul Exchange Philly, what, Temple?
Yeah, Temple University.
Temple,
yeah. The first 2 of them that I went were there actually, because they held like 2 back-to-back in like 4 months. I think that was like 2014. So I would have been like 13 years old. My parents took me, and my dad actually fell asleep out in the hallway. He was just like snoring.
And actually, now that I think about it, that Long Island event was not the first event I went to. The first event I went to was I Play America Soul Exchange Freehold jersey. And I went into one room. They had like 2 rooms. I only thought there was one room. I only walked around in this one little room that like the people without the vendor tables were in. And that's all I thought the event was. Little did I know there was a whole other room with the whole other event in it. I missed it completely.
You didn't go?
No, I went. I went to the event, but I only was stuck in the one room. I didn't know there was another room.
No, like you never went to that room. Like,
I never went to the other room. Left the event, didn't even know it was there until after.
I never heard that stuff.
Yeah, that was bad. Hey, you got to learn somehow, right? But yeah, I mean, the sneaker events were cool. That was like kind of understanding the culture. I went with my boys. Shout out Ian Brick and Nick Manna. That was the squad who I was rolling with. They were doing the same thing as me. So yeah, I mean, it started with the events.
I met Nick before you at Soul Exchange Philly. That the first one I was at.
Yeah.
I remember he bought like the cream, the Dons, the Louis Vuitton Dons, the cream ones, and I was like, bro, why would you buy those? Like, and he ended up actually flipping them for more than what he paid. But that's actually who linked us. And then when we started talking, we started doing business. Actually, we said we were gonna pull up our messages from.
Yeah, we could try to do that real quick. So like, me and Carson probably met through some mutual friends, Nick, and through the sneaker event stuff. And so we're gonna pull up some messages. We said we were gonna do that and kind of see like if we could go through our Facebook message, because we kind of did
see how we actually did meet, because we actually don't know how we first met.
But it was through like either Facebook or a mutual friend kind of connection. But we're gonna scroll all the way back and kind of see where we can get to as far as like what our messages were like in like 2013 or 14 or whatever it was.
Wow, look at my inventory back then.
Yeah, that one's gonna have to. We're gonna pull that. We're gonna have that picture pull up for you guys right there, real quick.
I just saved it. It's gonna pop up right here, right now. That was my inventory back in 2015, in the middle of the year. That was my inventory.
Yeah, we're getting back there for sure. I see some.
This kid was annoying, yo. He used to text me all the time.
Now he doesn't answer his phone.
Did you sell me these?
Yeah, Yeezy 1 Zen, probably. I had a lot of them.
That was my first pair. That was my first pair of Yeezys ever.
Yeah.
Right here. First messages. Yo, trades for Yeezys? DB2 I add? Nah, I need cash. Sorry, bro.
Yo, I sent you pictures of those Yeezy 1 Zens. You said they beat up a little. I said, yeah, man, I'm trying to clean them. You said I can't do 800. I need to recover after that scam, so I need to make some money. And I said, scammed? If through PayPal, I'll get your money back. Yeah, I gifted and he scammed me. September 28, 2015. I got my money back. I knew how to finesse PayPal. Even as the 15-year-old kid, I got his money back. PayPal, we love and hate you.
He got me his money back, and I texted him, I love you so much. $800 I was scammed. Think about that. Think about that. Think about being 14 years old and having $800 taken from you. I was heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken.
So as I kept going, as I kept buying and selling, Facebook was a huge spot for me. I actually remember my first post on Facebook Marketplaces when I first was like getting into it. I posted a Blue Lobster Nike SB. Those go for like a band or two now, brand new, but I had a pair up for like 125 bucks that was super clean, just to show like the SB market's much different now. Yeah, but Facebook Marketplace is where I really got connected to a couple people, especially Carson, who I now own this store with, right? So Facebook Marketplace opened up a lot of doors, and that's where I started buying and selling on a lot. Made a lot of connections through Facebook Marketplace. Fast forward to like
2015, SneakerCon, New York. Best event I think I've probably been to still.
Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan.
There was probably like 10,000 people there, honestly.
Absolutely packed.
It was so full. That was the first time I met James in person.
That's when you could really go to a sneaker event with 500 bucks and come out with 2,000. Yeah. That's when you could trade your way up or find steals or whatever. That's when the culture was different. Not everyone really knows about that.
If you can remember when the Turtle Doves dropped, this event took place like a month or two after. So it was like Kanye just signed with Adidas. The hype of the Yeezys was just getting there.
Yeezy 2 hype was still insane. Red Octobers were crazy. You know, Yeezy 2 hype was crazy, but now Kanye had signed with Adidas, so like it was getting real. Turtle Doves dropped, the Gray 750s dropped. So yeah, that's where
I met you for the first time. I met Matt Feinberg for the first time. Shout out him. He actually sold me my first pair of hyped shoes. I got the DB Free Runs. That's still my favorite pair today. I've had like 6 or 7 since then, but I met him there, and then like we said, Max and Colin met up there. We had a dope table. Actually, we still have the picture of that table.
We'll drop that up there too.
That'll be right here too.
Had some Red Octobers on there. Max Lomas was hustling with 2 pairs of Red Octobers. We had Michael Kramer on that table too. He does sports cards now for real.
I think we had some samples too.
We had some samples, some Kobe 8 samples, some KD, LeBron samples. He had some signed stuff too. He had a dope collection.
Whatever. Ended up being a great event. Met some great people who I still am friends with today. 2016, we ended up going to the Soul Exchange together. That's when we actually first met up in person, started being friends, made some money there. And then we really started getting to it. Like, I wouldn't say we were necessarily business partners.
Because it wasn't really even a business at that point. Like, even then, it was just like, yo, we both like sneakers. Like, we both are, like, building our collections and, like, buying and selling. So that's what we went to these events for. That's what we were doing. At least I was looking for shoes. Like I remember I was looking for Air Mags. Like I wanted Air Mags. I wanted Red Octobers. The first Yeezy one I bought was 8th grade. I bought a Yeezy 110. That was the first Yeezy I ever bought. Nike Yeezy 110. Some of y'all probably even know what Nike Yeezys are. But yeah, Yeezy, yeah, for real. But the Yeezy 110, I bought that in 8th grade. And I remember just like 8th grade summer, I was trying to like get into some other stuff I wanted to wear. And I wanted to get some sneakers that I've been looking for a while. I wanted to get the Nike Air Mag. My grandfather died of Parkinson's disease, and they raffled those sneakers for Parkinson's disease on eBay. So that was another thing that like really made me want to grab those shoes, as well as just like it being a dream from like when I started buying selling sneakers with like $60. Like, yo, one day I'm gonna get the Air Mags. And so I did end up grabbing Air Mags. I was like scrolling through Facebook where I was buying and selling most of my sneakers. Probably a week before I started high school. And I'm scrolling through and I was thinking, damn, I really can't find these anywhere. I see a pair pop up in my size. I think at the time it was a worn pair. It was worn a couple times. It was size 11. It had no box. He wanted like $4,200. All I had to my name at that time was I had $3,200 cash and I had a pair of Yeezy 110s, clean. And I remember I traded both of them. So I traded the cash and the Yeezy 110s, sent it out to him. He sent me the Air Mags. It was a huge trust thing. Miles McQuillan. Shout out Miles. But yeah, he sold me that shoe back in 2015 or 16.
What'd you sell it for?
Freshman. Well, I'll get to it. Freshman year of high school. So I wore that shoe my freshman year of high school. I had a couple people be like, "Yo, those are fake." I just be like, "Okay," you know, like I had the lights on and everything. I probably wore it with some weird shit. I probably had I think I had shorts on, wearing some Air Mags.
The joggers.
Not even, bro. I think I had shorts on.
Cargo shorts.
Probably some cargo shorts. But yeah, so I wore them, and then I ended up selling them, I think, for like 5 bands. So I made some bread on that, and that's all I had to my name. Literally on my feet was everything I had, but that's what I wanted to do. And from there, like I kept pushing, buying and selling, right? To basically build my personal collection. I was just kind of keep building sneakers for myself that I wanted to wear. And then it got to a point, December 2nd of 2016, I was hit by a car crossing the street, coming off the bus, home from school. And I got hit by a car. I flew 35 feet, broke 12 bones in my face, 12 skull fractures, my nose. I was in the hospital for like a month, couldn't walk.
His nose is all up.
Yeah, man. But I was in the hospital for like a month, and I'm sitting there. This is about the time that the Yeezy 350 red stripe dropped, right? So the red stripe Yeezy was going for like anywhere between like $300 to $450, right? And I remember in Europe, this is when I started buying sneakers in Europe. Shout out Adid. I started buying a lot of sneakers in Europe. Me and Adid probably pushed through like 200 or 300 Yeezys that year. All used sneakers he was buying in London, buying in Malaysia, and sending over to me in the US. And I was flipping here. But yeah, I remember I was hit by a car and I was in the hospital. I was buying Yeezy 350 red stripes. So I was like, damn, these are kind of low. Like 350, 400, 350 euros. It was like $425, $430. I started buying them, right? So all I had was money at the time. I got lucky. I got lucky because once I got hit by the car, I was in the hospital. I didn't have many sneakers. I had a lot of cash, right? So I just started buying red stripe Yeezy 350 V2s. I probably bought like 10 pairs, maybe 10 or 15 pairs, right? They ended up going up to like $650. I sold them all for like $550, $600. So I made all that money there buying these red stripe Yeezys, and I was like, this could really be a business. I could really keep doing this, like keep watching market trends and buying stuff and selling it for higher if I buy the right stuff. So that's really where it started, and turned into a business. That was the transformation from a hobby to a business. Then I started Lat Kicks. So I built the Lat Kicks Instagram. I was always on there. You know, people that have been following me for a minute. Since I was like 12 years old, I had Lat Kicks Instagram. I was posting stuff up on there, whatever I was buying and selling at the time. Maybe we'll drop some pictures up here to show you guys kind of what we were doing. I did a little bit of sneaker photography too. We'll drop a couple things up there.
Mine,
nah, he was nice with it. I wasn't too nice with it. But yeah, I was doing a little bit of that, and basically turned it into a business, right? So Lat Kicks was what I was going as and what I was presenting myself as. Lat Kicks really turned into a business and became something I never would have imagined it to.
Speaking of his car accident, I'll never forget when he called me. This was obviously after we become a little bit closer friends. He FaceTimed me. He was in the hospital, and his face was, I don't even know how to describe his face. Look, nothing like it looks now. It was all bloody, like, and I was like, bro, what happened? And so he ended up, like you said, being in the hospital for a month and a half. He was just grinding it out. And we actually got to talk a lot throughout that time because all he was doing, like you said, was just sitting there and being on his phone. And he actually eventually taught me that selling on Instagram. By the way, I went by CP Souls, those of you that don't know me. And he was like, yo, bro, like, you should start consigning. Because at the time, he was consigning heavily with Urban Necessities,
Shout out JC, shout out Matt Feinberg for making that happen.
Fight Club, Stadium Goods, all the big brands that everyone knows about.
Shout out Cease, too. That's the homie, too.
True. So like I was saying, he taught me how to, like, that there was such thing as consignment. I didn't even know it existed. So as I was making like 10, 15, maybe 20% margins selling on Instagram, I had all these shoes that I knew that I could get more for. I just didn't have the spot to put them. And so we started doing New York trips. It was a lot cheaper to take the train up to New York for the day and drop your shoes off at Flight Club than it was to ship them. Yeah, and Stadium Goods. So we would take the train up there. We'd have these huge bags, 15, 20 pairs of shoes each. Just grinding it out, really. Like,
how many times do you think we did that? 10 plus, right?
At least 10 to 20 times.
10 to 20 times. On the train with big bags full of sneakers.
Yes, Yeezys, like 2 kids, bro. Like, we could have got robbed. Like, we really could have, like, anybody could have robbed us and we wouldn't have done shit about it. Like, and so we literally, like, Flight Club was selling shoes to the point where, like, we would drop them off there. We would stop at maybe like Palace Skateboards on the way home and then get on the train. And like literally on the train ride back, we'd be getting emails like, yo, your shoe's sold, your shoe's sold.
Before we even left the city, our
and we're making like $200-$300 profit at a time on these things. So it was just like, whoa, like we could really like just keep, and we had fun too. Like we loved the city. We'd always make a trip out of it. And it was worth it too. So like, that was our grind at the time. Like, and I know he's done this too. Like we got to the point where like, if we had to ship shoes before we had our like license, we would ride our bike to the post office. Like we loved this shit that much that like we would do anything.
Box the shoes, tape them up at home, put them in a backpack. I'll ride my bike on the canal.
Sometimes I had 2 or 3, so they couldn't fit in the backpack. I would carry the one on the bars.
Yeah, I think I've been there before
and bro, a mile and a half to the post office.
Because you had to get it there. You had to get it there. Your parents are working, whatever. You got to go get the shoes out for the person who bought it for you.
But and another thing I want to touch on is that, so when he was actually getting into all this stuff, I went through a time and phase where I was like, I got scammed, like, I'm not making money, and then like I would go to school and my like kids would make fun of me, like they'd be like, you take pictures of shoes, blah, 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 this, like they would literally step on my sneakers and scuff them just because they were jealous of what I had, and like it sucked because like I worked for that too. It's not like they just thought my parents gave it to me, and like so I almost quit, honestly. And like back to what we said about shout out to our parents, like my dad, I was probably 14, he was like, yo, like you can't care about what anyone thinks about you, man. Like what you're doing is working. Like if you're gonna let them tell you what to do, then like you shouldn't be doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's what really stuck with me since then. And like shout out my man Mike, bro. Like,
yeah, I could also say I've definitely been at points where I wanted to quit. I've got scammed a couple times where to the point where it was like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I remember I talked to one of my friend's dad, and he called me, and he was like, hey, you can't quit. You can't quit. Like, look what you're doing. Look how far you've come already. You can't quit. Shout out Scott Staropoli. That's who had that conversation with me and really told me, hey, there's no reason to quit here. And, of course, I have my parents, too, telling me the same thing, but I needed someone on the outside to tell me that for it to really hit. Because you know how, like, when you're young, you're 15, 16 years old, you don't want to always listen to your parents. You sometimes take that for granted. Now looking back, I mean, I had that support, but to hear from someone else was helpful. And getting back into the consignment thing, I kind of passed over that. I hopped on consignment with Urban Necessities probably at like 15 or 16 years old. Matt Feinberg put me onto them, and this is when they were in it was Parkway. It was the Boulevard Mall, I think. I can't even remember the name of the mall, but I shipped there so many times. I think it was like 3680 South something, Parkway or Boulevard.
Canal Street. That's Stadium Goods.
That's Stadium. And then you got Flight Club on Broadway. We learned New York as kids. We learned Philly as kids. Going into shout out Suplex too. Suplex Philadelphia.
Shout out to Suplex. Show.
I've been consigning with them for a minute too.
Kai
Chang, Mike, Chris.
All of them.
But yeah, I was consigning. Consigning was my hustle, right? So I started consigning at Suplex, at Urban Necessities, at Stadium Goods, at Flight Club. I have more personal connections with the people at Suplex, people at Urban Necessities. Yeah, all good people over there. And so before JC had moved over to the Vegas store that was more prominent, I know now he's got some big moves going on, 18,000 square foot spaces, crazy
Wild.
stuff, you know.
Wild.
Huge inspiration. I mean, he's doing things no one else is doing really. But before he had moved further into the city, he was in a mall outside, and they were moving a lot of sneakers. It was working really well. And same thing with Suplex. Always been pushing, always been moving sneakers, right? So to have those connections was super dope. Really appreciate those people for allowing me as a young kid to be consigning with them and trusting me to do good business with them, you know? So Consignment was our thing. We started making a lot of trips to New York, doing Stadium Goods, doing Flight Club drop-offs, because if you ship stuff, it wouldn't go in for a couple days. They wouldn't put it in. We could leave the city.
It wouldn't go in for a couple weeks.
Sometimes it wouldn't go in for a minute. Yeah,
just let it sit there. You had to like go in and tell them like, yo, put my in the system. Like,
yeah. And hey, I want it at this price, not this price you're telling me. This is before you could change the price. You had to email them to change the price. This is before they linked with GOAT, before you could change your prices.
GOAT wasn't even a thought.
Nah, but GOAT. But I will say when GOAT did start, I was pushing Pirate Black Yeezys for $300 more than I was paying on Facebook. $900 on Facebook, getting $1,250 on GOAT. I was on GOAT selling sneakers. This was before StockX was around.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you can remember GOAT
without
before StockX, that was the time.
That was when anything you put on GOAT,
you controlled the market.
That's when GOAT became. That's when they knew they had a business model. When anything that went up would sell. They could sell anything for way over what the market price was. Then obviously the market prices started to set up. More people started to sell on GOAT. This is when they'd approve you as a seller. It would take a while to get approved as a seller.
It took me 3 months to be able to sell on GOAT.
It wouldn't be something right away.
3 months.
You can't
now
just
you can just download that and sell. Like I literally would check my email every day just so I could sell on GOAT. It was like what's the word? It was a privilege. It was a privilege to be on GOAT when back then.
And honestly, it really was because of the amount of money you could make. I remember so many Pirate Black Yeezys I pushed on there. I couldn't even tell you how many. All right, so after we started doing a lot of GOAT sales, we started getting into a lot of consignment like we were speaking about. I ended up getting a warehouse in my hometown, Yardley, Pennsylvania. That was junior, senior year, something like that. I was pushing a lot of sneakers out of there, whether it be GOAT sales, online sales, pushed some local sales out of there, did some bulk deals out of there, shipped a lot of stuff out of there. So basically, every day after I come home from school, I would go to the warehouse and ship some stuff out and get my orders out for the day. I also had a lot of help. So at that time, I had shout out Matt Labar. He does our customs now. Shout out Brandon. He does consignment here. Shout out Richie, cameraman right behind this camera right now. He helped me out as well as Patrick Lachelle Chip. He was also in the cut helping us out. Ship stuff out every day. Patrick Lachelle.
I didn't know that.
Chip, yeah, you just know.
Where do you get Chip from that?
It was just always Chip.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It was just always Chip. But yeah, so I had a lot of help there in the warehouse. It was good. I moved a lot of stuff out of there. It was a little space, it was a small space behind a shipping store I was working at the time. I was working at a shipping store from about 15 years old to 17 years old. So Buck Ship and Pray in Yardley. Shout out Glenn. We actually have another business in the works right now. But we were doing that. We were working hard. I was working at a pizza store when I was 14, and then working at the pizza store and the shipping store while I was selling sneakers. And then I quit the pizza store. Eventually, I also took off from the Ship and Print just because it wasn't worth the time anymore. But we still do a lot of business with them to this day. But yeah, so had the warehouse behind the shipping store. Was pushing a lot of items out of that, and that was all junior and senior year.
I guess we can get into San Jose Sneaker Con.
So that was summer of your senior year.
19?
Yeah.
So I was gonna be a senior. He had just graduated
high school.
We went out with Arjun, Christian, and Nash. Shout out them. Christian and Arjun are actually opening up their own store in New Jersey right now. Shout out Showtime. Definitely check that out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that was a great time. We ended up getting an Airbnb. We stayed out there for like 4 or 5 days. It was a 2-day event. Ended up shipping a whole bunch of stuff back. We brought stuff on the plane. We brought bunch of boxes. And like I said previously, this is around the time I started taking things a little bit more seriously when it came to shoes. So fast forward through the summer, I was just grinding it out, and he actually had told me, yo, I'm going to Florida State. Would you have any interest in like helping me continue my business, help, you know, overlook things while I'm in Italy? I went to Italy, by the way.
Yeah, so I can kind of take
you
it
can
from
hold
that,
at
from
you.
that point. So in the summer after I had graduated high school, I decided I was going to go to Florida State. I was going to do a first year abroad program, and that's where I'll bring in my boy Tony, and we'll have him come in. All right, guys, so after senior year, I decided in the summer that I was going to go to Florida State and do first year abroad program. So in the summer, I had this guy Antonio here messaging me on, what was the Snapchat? You were saying like, yo, let's room together, because we got put in this group chat, this like group chat full of everyone that was going to go. We thought that was going to be everyone that was going in the program. It was all girls, except for the two of us who were like, hey, we got to live with each other. Like, this is not a problem, but we have to live with each other, right? And so you hit me up, you're like, yo, let's live together. The only thing I knew about him was that he played guitar. And that's the only thing I saw on his Instagram. He's playing guitar. I'm like, this kid's going to keep me up all the time. Like, I don't know about this. And so I was like, yo, let's meet each other. Let's
wait a second, see what happens after orientation. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Man, who would have known, bro?
Yes. So then what happened was we ended up living together with the two of us and our friends Tom and Jackson. And yeah, so we really went to Italy and lived there for a while, and pulled in a lot of the culture and brought it into what we started doing here. It took a while. We both realized we were both business minded, and he had past ventures that he'd already worked with and accomplished stuff, and so we kind of merged what we were doing, and we have something else coming now. But Antonio helped build this store too. This is the homie. He's down to ride.
It was a journey.
It was a
good
journey. It was a journey, but it was one that was like, hey, we want to open this store. We have a month. Like, how's this gonna work? And you're like, we're gonna do it. You're like, we're gonna do it. And we were in Florida, and when we decided, hey, we're gonna go do it. We'll get to this part later when the actual store became a reality. But I had to fly out. I said, Antonio, I'm flying out. I'm going up to Harrisburg. I'm gonna build this store.
And
he
I'm
said,
like, I'm going with you, bro.
He said, I'm coming
Screw
with
it.
you.
We're doing
Antonio stayed from the day I flew out until the day we opened the store. And
After
the day
the
after we
grand
opened the
opening.
store, he went back. He saw it from start to finish. Maybe we'll even put a video in here of him breaking shit out back, building stuff in here. This was a hair salon before we got here. Yeah, it was nuts. And while we were in Italy, we met a lot of cool people.
Like arrows.
Yeah, like Eros. So one of them being Eros. Shout out to Eros Gigiona, my Albanian Italian brother. And basically we were outside of a club one night. I think we were in line at Bamboo. And I saw some European Yeezys on his feet, and I said, hey, where'd you get them? And we started talking. He got us into the club. We ended up like, we were waiting in line. We just got into the club. We went in with him. And no one, they smoke a lot in Europe, right? So no one in the club is smoking, but except for him. He's in the back smoking. And I'm like, why is this guy smoking? Why is he allowed to smoke but no one else is? And so the owner of the club came over to him, and he was talking to him for a while. Basically was like, hey, put out the cigarette. He was like, no.
And then we were smoking.
And then we were smoking. We were smoking cigars. But yeah, so basically where I'm getting to with that is he was very well connected in the city, and he put us onto a lot of different things, as well as sneaker stores in Florence. So I started consigning at a store called Flow Run, and that's in Florence, across from Colle Barreto. And that's a coffee shop / club too at night. But yeah, we really got into sneakers there as well. And business in general. He does like real estate over there, short-term rentals, Airbnb, Booking.com. But yeah, EE Florence Apartments. If you ever want to stay in Florence and you need a spot, hit him up. But yeah, we learned a lot and met a lot of cool people there, right?
Including Lil Mosey.
Yeah, Lil Mosey's not the coolest dude we met there, but we did meet him there. So basically, he was doing a show, and I was in touch with a lot of the club promoters there in Florence, and they set me up to be able to do a giveaway with him, where I gave him a pair of sneakers, took a picture with him. He's supposed to post it up on his Instagram. He never posted up on his Instagram, and so we don't really have love for him, Lil Mosey. If you see this, you. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was cool, man. It was a nice ride out there. We're ready to get back. I think
Ready
we'll
to
be
get
out
back
there
and do
soon.
more business there, man.
Yeah, do more business there for sure. But yeah, met Antonio, and he's always been down to ride.
Yeah,
You're gonna
bro.
see a lot more of
Yeah,
his
yeah.
face on this journey, but he was a piece of it for sure.
Appreciate you, bro.
So yeah, we did that. We went to Italy. Italy was dope, and basically I had to have Carson run the business while I was in Italy. While I was in that time, I was not able to be running the business in the United States, so I needed Carson to come take that over, and Carson did that and killed it. So that was a point in your life where there was a change, right? I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely went from, doing my sneaker hustle on the side sort of thing. I had another job. I worked at a restaurant. I worked at like 3 different restaurants growing up. Eventually, obviously, quit those for the same purpose that he did. It just wasn't worth my time. I was getting more money doing the shoe stuff. Luckily, I had the opportunity my senior year to sign up for the co-op program. Shout out Miss Sullivan. Growing up, I didn't really have many teachers that understood what I did or took interest in it. She actually sat down with me. I ended up talking to her about what I did, about what I was going to be taking on with James's business, and somehow, in some way, she got me into the co-op program, even though I didn't have a boss like overseeing me every day.
So explain the co-op program, what that is.
Yeah. So I went to school in the morning. I had senior option, which meant I only had to come in at second period. I had 2 classes, then I would go to lunch, and then I had another class. I would leave around 12:30, and then I could go to work. So it was nice. I only had 3 classes, and then I was just working, focusing on making money. And that's basically what the co-op program was. It was just for people that didn't know if they were going to go to college or not, wanted to get experience in the work field. And I already knew, luckily, what I wanted to do. And like I said, James gave me this awesome opportunity to take his business on while I was doing mine at the same time. And Miss Sullivan somehow got me in, and I was actually the first student at my high school to ever be in the co-op program with no supervisor. So that was dope. Ended up making a lot of connections, I would say, over that year. Definitely met a lot of people, stacked my bread up, was just saving, not spending. So yeah, and that was just about it. I'm not trying to see if I missed anything.
I think we probably went to events like here and there. When I came back from Italy in December, in the winter months, we maybe did a couple things. I think I know we did the pop-up shop in Philly.
The pop-up shop I did not make it to. I made
not
it to one in
pop-up
Yardley.
shop. Yeah, we did one in Yardley too. But yeah, I mean, we did some stuff while we were working on lat kicks, right? While I was in Italy, then I came back, and when I came back from Italy, they sent me home because of COVID, right? And that's when things really started to get crazy with sneaker selling, right? Because you would think that COVID, the pandemic, would have had a negative effect on disposable income and people buying sneakers, right? But what actually happened was when so many people were locked up and in their house for so long, they wanted to go out and shop, right? So when they did open the malls back up, when they did open the stores back up, people went out and shopped. And they really went out and shopped because they had a stimulus check, too, to be able to spend that money. So sneakers went crazy. Disposable income was based upon the stimulus checks, right? So people were spending money like crazy on sneakers. So to meet our demands, we were consigning at a couple different places. A lot of the same places we were talking about before. We made a lot of cool connections. And in that time, we realized that, hey, we're able to do this on our own. We're able to rather than consign at other stores, we're able to do this on our own. And we thought about opening our own store, right? So maybe that was August, September, right?
Well, I mean,
maybe like middle of September,
honestly,
we started thinking about it more seriously.
We skipped the part. I would say when I came to Italy, we had very serious conversations. I came to Italy mid-January. We had very serious conversations. Arjun and Christian were actually along for that trip as well. And we were just talking about it. The email, like we emailing the lease agent and all that, it just didn't end up working out. It was wrong timing. So like we said, we were grinding it out all spring, all summer, and like he said, I would say probably around August is when I came to him. I was like, bro, like, I really don't want to go to college.
So I was about to go back to school, right? And Carson's like, hey, I don't want to sit in the warehouse all day. I'm not about to go to school. So I don't want to sit in the warehouse. We should open a store. We should open a small store in Lebanon. It's his hometown. And We went and looked at a space, right?
Looked at a couple of spaces. I just realized that the market was not there in my city. I had local clients that I would deal with a lot. I was selling lots of his shoes even to lots of people in my city, but I just felt that it wasn't going to be enough for what we were capable of, at least. I knew we could have done it, probably made some money, but I felt we were capable of more. So that's why I was just like, yo, bro, like, Philly, it's a little too far. There's already some stores there, but I was just thinking, I was like, Harrisburg, I was like, it's the capital of our state. There's no sneaker stores whatsoever around it. I was like, let's check out the malls. And if you guys are from Harrisburg, you obviously know that there's 3 malls in the area. There's the
Colonial Park, Harrisburg Mall,
East Mall, yeah, and then Capital City. The other 2, sadly, due to COVID, did not really survive, didn't really make it through. But on the bright side, Capital City is still doing great. Foot traffic is amazing, and I came every day for a week actually to see what it was like, see like who was coming on certain days, if anyone had like nice shoes on.
And that's when it was just an idea. That's when it was just like, hey, he was serious about it. I was living down in Florida. I went back down to Florida. He's talking about it, thinking about it. I'm like, okay, just go look at places then, like go check it out and see what's up, right? And from the jump, we wanted to provide a place that we didn't have when we were kids, right? 100%. We didn't have a place to come to buy, sell, trade, get this vibe, be around this sneaker culture.
You had to go to the events, or you had to travel
to the city.
Yeah, you couldn't get it.
That's why we were stuck to the city, going to the city all the time. We wanted to bring that to another city that didn't have it yet, and so that's what we did in Harrisburg. But getting to that, I mean, it was just an idea, and then you were looking around at a couple different spots while I was in Florida. I was actually communicating with a leasing agent while I was in Florida as he was looking at the space. It ended up working out, and he had went and seen the space, sent me a picture, FaceTime me.
Yeah.
And then you were like, hey, I think we're going to sign this lease. You should fly out. That was probably late September, early October.
Yeah, it was.
Because I remember
mid-September, late September.
I drove from Florida to Harrisburg. One day, 14 hours, we drove straight. That was with Tony, like we were talking about. We didn't fly out. We drove. And that was on October 3rd, I think.
I don't remember.
Something like that. Maybe October 7th. I don't know. But we wanted to be open right away. We wanted to be open, and we did it in less than 30 days. We were open.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know if this was said before on the video or not. This was a hair salon before us, and then somebody else had moved on. Somebody else was in the space before us too. They
didn't really do much with the space, and the aesthetic was not really up to our standards. So we decided we wanted to make a couple changes in here, which required a lot of work. So I mean, from that point,
when you come into this store, I can tell you right now that everything was changed except for the ceiling. New floors were put down. The rack we made from scratch actually, because we didn't feel like spending all the money on a rack pre-made.
Shout out Mike.
Shout out my dad. My dad really helped us, and Dale. Shout out Dale. They grinded it out with us. We were in here. We took all the wallpaper off. Ugly wallpaper. I don't know if you ever see through the back.
Basically, orange. Getting down to it, the space was not great.
Not good at all.
And it was not what we could use for a sneaker store. We knew it was the right amount of space that we needed, but the actual aesthetic of the space was not going to work for a sneaker store, especially because we wanted to put on a certain feel in here. You know, we're selling a lot of items that are nice, right? We have a lot of expensive items too, and why would someone want to come in and purchase an expensive item in a store that looks really cheap or that was half-assed? It wasn't done correctly, right? So we wanted to create a vibe in here, and so we did that over time, right? And even right off the jump when we opened, it wasn't everything we wanted it to be. Correct. But over time, it kind of came together.
Yeah, and like it was wild. Honestly, like
lots of 16-hour days.
I don't know how we got it open in the time that we did. Me and James set our goal, and everyone was like, my dad, my mom, and these are the people that support us most. Yeah. They're like, not a shot.
This is unrealistic.
No way. Like for the stuff that we had planned out to do to this is just like, it just really wasn't realistic. And we didn't sleep much. We were here
every single day.
Yeah, we spent a couple of nights here. I can tell you that. So
yeah.
And honestly, the longest day out of the whole process was the day we were here at 9 a.m. and we stayed till around 11:30, and that's when we finished. We sanded every single wall because when we
By
took the
hand.
wallpaper off, there was glue everywhere, so we couldn't even paint over it. So like that was definitely the longest day, and there was 4 of us in here all day just.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard
It
work
was
to get
awful.
the space open. We did a lot of little things. You know, we learned from a lot of other stores that we've seen, decided things we wanted to do, things we didn't want to do. And I mean, there's a lot of little things that go into it, you know. There's a lot of little things you don't think about until you really get down to it, and problems you had to solve, like, hey, how are we gonna show our prices for things? Where are we gonna have our items priced? How are people gonna be able to pick up an item and know what we're asking for it, what sizes we have in it? There's a lot more little things than you think to opening something like this, but through time and through our connections and talking to different people and really getting the best advice that we could, as well as thinking on it for a while, we did come up with what we believe is the best solution to a lot of our problems here, and this is what we got from it, Bullseye Sneaker Boutique.
So lots of people come in and ask Bullseye, like why Bullseye? Where did you get the name from? What was it from? And honestly, I would say it just was a lot of brainstorming. I know we were texting the one night, it was late, and we were just shooting back a bunch of different names that we thought like, oh, that could be cool, or that could be related to sneakers or something like that. And I think I had texted him Bullseye, and there was like 3 names, and one of them was Bullseye, and he was like, I like Bullseye. Let me text you in the morning, and I'll let you know why. Because it was like I said, it was late, and I was like probably 2 a.m. We get on a call the next morning. He's like, yo, like, growing up, I always played darts. Bullseye, like, we could definitely incorporate something into that, you know what I'm saying? So what we did, we put a dartboard in the mall. It was a little hard, to be honest with you. We didn't know if we were going to be allowed to do it with safety rules and all that. We ended up getting a plastic dartboard. When you make a purchase, you can throw a dart. Depending on what you hit, you can win anything from a sticker all the way up to $50 off your next purchase. We thought that people always say, oh, it's like Cool Cakes or whatever.
Really, that's not what we were thinking.
That's
about
not what we
when
were
did it.
thinking.
We were more thinking we wanted to bring a skill-based asset into the store. We like the idea of having the customer be able to have if they have a skill, or if they're able to hit a bullseye, like, they're able to get something cool from it, right? And that's just it's not really luck, it's more skill, but it's also fun.
I've also had people that came in here saying I never threw a dart, hit a bullseye. So
True.
like, you know, anything can happen. And like, we also like the fact that like you can come back, use that money that you won on a new pair of shoes. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So and that goes forever. If we DM it to you, you come back a year later and you show it to us, we'll give you $50 off your next purchase. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's something we decided to put in, change things up a little. Really, we didn't want to do the Keymaster. We didn't really want to do anything like that. And that was his idea, like I said. And somehow the vision came to life. I'm 19. You are.
I'm 20.
Yeah. So if I'm being honest with you, I would never in a million years thought that I'd be sitting in my own sneaker store at 19 years old, just graduating high school. I know he'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can say the same. I never would have thought that this is the point I would get to, especially when I was younger. Like, this is really a dream come true to us, and I think that if you set your mind to something and you work towards it every single day and you really want it, you can do it. And I mean, I don't just say that as like a cliche thing to say, because I know you hear a lot of people probably say stuff like that, but this is living proof that this is something that we really wanted to do, and we set our mind to it and we work towards it every single day. And granted, it took a long time to be able to get to this. Nothing was overnight, right? But we did really want it, and over time we made it a reality. So yeah, I would say just set your mind to it, especially all you sneaker resellers out there. Like, if you want to do something, do it, you know?
100%. And that doesn't just go for sneaker resellers though. It's just like any point in your life, like I don't even know if this answers to him either, but I know growing up, I had lots of people doubt me in certain ways, told me I couldn't do something when I knew I could. So just don't let that shit get to you. And I know, like I said, somebody told him, yo, you can't do that, or you're not gonna be able to do that. And it's like, if you believe in yourself 100% and you don't care what anyone else has to say about it, that shit will come to you. You know what I'm saying? As long as you keep grinding, put your nose down, it'll come to you. And like he said, just like, it is a dream come true that we are sitting here in our own sneaker store, meeting new people every day that love the same things that we do. Like, we've met some great people along this ride. Like, Shout out JR. Shout out my man Jeff. Shout out, like, there's so many people that we've met through this store that are gonna be lifelong friends now. Like our boy Aiden, we actually hired him. He came into the store, sold us a pair of shoes. There was something different about him. You know what I'm saying? He was really mature. He was actually a lot younger than I thought he was. He ended up being 17. I was like, yo, like, do a job. Like, he ended up being a reseller, and like I said, just so many lifelong friends that we've met through this, and like it's just gonna continue. It's just a wonderful thing to be able to come to work and not feel like you're working. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't feel like we don't allow each other to call this work because we love it so much, and like it really is just doing what you love and not letting anyone tell you can't.
And yeah, to wrap it up, guys, if you sat through it, thank you. This is our journey. This is how we got from this point we started out here, talking about us as 11, 12, 13-year-old kids with a dream, to this coming to life and us owning a store.
Still pursuing that same dream.
Still pursuing that same dream, not letting up. But we really appreciate you guys sitting through this if you did, and hearing us out. But this is our story, and we just wanted to share that with you guys. We appreciate you guys for real.
It means the world to us.
And yeah, thank you. We'll catch you next time.
Like, comment, subscribe. Bullseye.